Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome back to the Boeing 777-300ER. Today we're going to fly from Seattle over to Doha, and this is going to be a lovely 14.5-hour polar flight right at the maximum takeoff weight of the 777-300ER. Also, we are finally going to do that daylight arrival into Doha that I promised you so often already. Before we start though, a quick message from today's sponsor. If you're looking for an ATC add-on that's not just capable of your standard IFR A to B flight, but that's also doing things like data link, VFR, that can inject traffic and even simulate a cabin crew, then look no further than Say Intentions AI. We'll be using them for everything related to our traffic, our ATC and our data link and cabin crew in today's video. So if you like what you're about to see or hear, then be sure to check them out using the link in the video description below. And with that, let's get straight into checking our flight plan. Now, flight plan is fairly straightforward today. You can see a typical polar route that we are flying. Now, a little bit bent to the south because we have to circumnavigate Ukraine and because we also can't fly through Iran. Otherwise, something like this might have been better, but we can neither go through Iran today nor through Ukraine. Therefore, we have this rather southerly routing via Europe. Now let's have a look into the significant weather chart. You can see that the first half of our flight is very easy going. Just crossing a couple of jet streams over here until we eventually end up in this little area over here marked with the number 1, and that is some moderate turbulence up to flight level 360. We will not be able to climb above that today, we are much too heavy for this, but overall we're looking at 14 very easy hours. Now let's go ahead and have a look into the airport weather. Now, our departure airport in Seattle has perfect weather conditions, runway 34 probably going to be in use, temperature 19 degrees, and our arrival airport in Doha 36 degrees, clear skies, and it's going to stay that way throughout the day and tomorrow. Now, our first alternate is actually the other airport in Doha, so literally nearby, but with those weather conditions, nothing to worry about. Now, let's have a look into our ETOPS alternates though. Edmonton is easygoing. Only tomorrow I wouldn't want to come back, but we don't intend to do that anyway. Now, Iqaluit is good, then we've got Keflavik, which is good as well, and finally we've got Bergen on the European side of things, and that's very good as well. So, in terms of weather, there's really nothing to worry about today. And let's have a look into our flight plan. Our scheduled departure is at 23:10, and that's going to result in an arrival 40 minutes ahead of schedule. Now, the takeoff weight is the problem. You can see we are all the way up at the maximum, and there really isn't any margin to take extra fuel today. Luckily, with the weather like this, we absolutely have no reason to take extra fuel at all, so we are happy to go like this. Initial cruising level 290, we are so heavy. That's where the 777 cruises on a flight like this. Alright, so going down into the fuel section then. As mentioned, we don't really have much room for extra, so 133.3 plus taxi, let's round it up, 134 tons, and that's all we need. And when we do that, we're going to arrive with about 9 tons in our tanks, plus whatever stays from the contingency, so that's absolutely fine. Alright, so with that out of the way, 130 tons of fuel, let's get straight into our aircraft. We're boarding through the 2 left, and just look at the beautiful repaint by Atarium once again. He's just doing an absolutely awesome work repainting aircraft. I mean, look at this. It's almost a pity we don't have the Q suites in here, but who knows, maybe one day people are going to do stuff like that. Alright, so let's get up into the flight deck of our 777 and start working some stuff. Our first officer is here already, and we can take a seat on the captain's seat today. Now, starting our procedures, let's turn on the ADRU, and while everything is aligning over there, we can go down into our tablet. So first things first, ground operations, let's take the ground service vehicles and release all of them, because then we can go ahead and order the same by GSX. So let's go into the EFB app, import our flight plan, And then we can go into the weight and balance app and import the flight plan here as well. And last but not least, let's go for the fuel and make that 134 tons today. And what did I do now? So fuel total 134. Okay, looking good. So GSX boarding is requested. Lovely. So I actually accidentally hit the right button. Who would have thought that that would ever happen? Okay, so boarding is requested. That's perfect. Fueling is already complete. We have 134 tons of fuel on board of our 777. That's just lovely, isn't it? Okay, so let's now get to the more important things. So engine oil quantity is definitely too low. We got to refill that, otherwise the engines aren't gonna survive our flight. So ground operations, ground maintenance, refill engine oil. And here we go, that's much better. Now let's check the hydraulics, and those are looking okay. The oxygen is okay. Oxygen test is also looking good. And we got to do that on both sides. And technically speaking, actually got to do it back here as well. And finally, where's the last one? Here it is as well, because a flight like this would be operated by 2 complete crews. So you'd have 2 captains, 2 first officers. Now, you can have the doors over there. I'm gonna take the status page, and then down here we can go with something like the comms or so. Alright, so recall everything, and cross-checking that everything we see in here is expected. The packs are actually expected today as well, because you can see we've turned them off, because we do have a ground air conditioning unit connected. It's not all that hot, 26 degrees, but it definitely saves us some fuel to do it this way. Alright, so with that our airplane is accepted for service, so let's go down into the flight information, and we can do an ATIS request down here from Seattle. Now, let's see, I still have VATSIM selected down here. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Alright, settings changed. I just had to cut this because PMDG leaves no way to mask the settings, so you would have seen all my IDs and stuff, which of course we don't want. So here we go, Seattle from Say Intentions, and we can send this one out to get the ATIS. Now let's go into the FMC, and I have just bought myself a WinWing Boeing CDU. Yes, I liked the Airbus CDU so much that I bought the Boeing one straight away as well. It's just excellent value for money, those things. And no, I did not get any of them for free, so this is not a free advert or a hidden advert or something. I really do like them that much. So, I know that this makes it a little bit difficult for you guys to keep track of what I'm actually typing and where I'm doing stuff when you don't see my mouse, so I will put some focus on actually saying everything that I do. Okay, so starting at the top, we are in 777-300ER. We've got a GE1915 engine. Nav data is up to date. Then let's go to position in it, copy the GPS position and paste it into the inertial, and now we can go for the route request, take the Simbri flight plan and select that. Alright, and here we go, that's our weather. Information Oscar, 285 at 3, 10 kilometers, fuel 1500. And altimeter 3005. That's probably the most important thing here. So 3005 set once and twice. Good. And runway 16 is in use. Okay. We had planned 34, but that's not a problem. So we'll be using runway 16 today. Okay, so let's see. Seattle to Doha, and the flight number is wrong. It's Qatari 28 Victor. So QTR 28 Victor. Alright, now we can load that route, and then let's bring up our plan over here so that we can actually follow along while I'm programming the FMS. Okay, so the flight plan is loaded. Now let's go for departure. 16 left, Seattle 9 departure, and now for the arrivals. Index arrival, ILS 34 right, and we have the higher 1 Lima arrival. Alright, and the lag match transition, route, Now, let's go ahead and cross-check all of this. Yes, this is annoying. So, Seattle 9 departure, then direct Alpsea, direct Yankee Delta Charlie, direct Lonro, direct 55 north, 116 west, 60 north, 110 west, 65 north, 100 west. Then we have 68.5 north, 90 west, 70.5 north, 80 west, 71.5 north, 70 west, direct Ingum, direct 72 north, 60 west, 72 north, 40 west, 70 north, 20 west, 68 north, 10 west, 66 north, 0 degrees east, direct Adaba, direct Linov, direct, wait a moment, direct Adaba, direct Masev, then Pinor, okay. I think I found my way into the wrong line there. Okay, so Adaba, Masev, Pinor, then we've got Doxo, Linov, Razek, Kirill, and Maxov, then Artad, Uniform Papa 975, Echo Zulu Sierra, Uniform Tango 36, Rengi, Uniform Tango 253, Octap, Uniform Mike 688, Radville, then we have Mike 688, Kedim, direct Sisin, Mike 688 to Sidat, Papa 975, Lonas, Lima 703, Haya. Okay, that looks good. We can execute this. And the ground distance is 7,007, which checks versus 7,003. Well, let's go to the Lex page and cross-check our departure. So, Seattle, sit, and we got the Seattle 9 departure, which is a fairly easy one. We simply continue on the runway track. And top altitude by ATC. And that's exactly what we've got down here as well. Now let's bring up the plan mode. Here we go, on the runway track. And then eventually that will lead us to our first waypoint. Okay, wonderful. So that's our route inserted. So then, activate and execute. So, route data, wind data request. This might take a little while now. So, request is sent, and come on, here we go. Load. Now we're waiting for it to load. Here we go, execute. Okay, FMCCom, descent forecast. And that should arrive momentarily as well. Here we go. Load. Okay, the ground distance is checked. We've got no nav aids tuned. And I suppose we don't need any either. Then let's copy Seattle, put that into the fix page with a 25-mile ring for the MSA. Now for the VNAV page, transition altitude 18,000. We know that that's correct in the US, but just to verify, up here it is. Beautiful. Okay, then to the performance in it. So, alternate 5.7, final 3.3, so that's exactly 9 tons. Alright, cruise level 290, cost index 50. Minimum fuel temperature is minus 37, cruise CG 30, and then thrust limit, we can leave that for now, and takeoff reference page 2, noise abatement procedure 2 is programmed in here as well. And with that, we are pretty much done with our FMC setup for the time being. Now, technically speaking, yes, we do have to first of all copy the route, and then cross-check any of those waypoints. So copy, paste, check the coordinates. So 55 north, 116 west is okay. Then 60 north, 10 west. It's just lovely how quickly you can do this when you've got an actual physical unit ahead of you. Okay, 65 100 is also checked. Now those over here, I do believe, yeah, you can't check them, that's a bug. But that's fine. Okay, so let's continue here. 72 north, 60 west. And that is checked. Then next is going to be 72 north, 40 west. That is also checked. And finally, we've got 70 north 20 west is also checked. And then we've got 68 north 10 west. That is also checked. And last but not least, 66 north 0 degrees west. And oh, that looks interesting. That's a bug over there. I'm going to report that one to PMDG. Okay, but that is also checked. Lovely. So with that, we are now done with our FNC. Always interesting how I can break these things. Alright, so the panel setup should be done pretty quickly. Refueling is complete, so the fasten seatbelt signs can come on. Up here, everything's done. Everything's done. The packs remain off for the time being. So, checklists, reset all. And then, com page, we've already requested our ATIS, so that's fine. You get a quick setup over here as well. So, QNH is set, auto brake RTO. Park and brake is set. Then let's find some frequencies. So, Seattle 9 departure is in there. Airport chart. Okay, so Seattle clearance 1280 is set. And ground is probably going to be south, huh? Well, 1217. Here we go.
RO feet. Arriving runway 16 right. Departing runways 16 left, 16 center. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Oscar.
Okay, so since we have a second pilot today, well, and a third, we are going to set up the ACP down here as well. By the way, in case you're wondering, the third pilot gets his data from down here as well. So it's the same control unit for both. Alright, and with that we are done setting our airplane up over here. So, all that good stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and grab our clearance. So, flight information, departure clearance request. So, what was our ATIS again? Review. No, not the request. So, information Oscar. So we've got ATIS Oscar. Facility will be Seattle. Our gate is, let's see, Sierra 10. And yeah, that's it. So, Qatari 2 at Victor, station Seattle, from Seattle to Doha, ATIS Oscar, Sierra 10, sent. Beautiful. Okay, lovely. So, then we just gotta wait for our clearance to arrive, provided that they do have PDC over here, otherwise we're going to get a voice clearance. Oh, here it is, that was quick. So, request being processed, stand by, cancel. And then the actual clearance will arrive in a few moments as well. TCAS off is checked. So, boarding's still ongoing as far as I can see. The doors are still open. Alright, so something I wanted to see for a long time. Look at this. It's incredible how much fuel there is on board this airplane. But now we're full. Max takeoff weight 351.5. And we are right up there. Not even a ton below it. Incredible. Incredible airplane. Okay, cool. So let's wait for the clearance here for a moment. And let's see. Oh, there it is. That was quick. Of course, the moment you look away. So, cleared to Doha. Seattle 9 departure. Maintain 6000. Departure 119.2. And squawk 1421. Alright, expect runway 16 center. Well, I'm going to accept this for the time being. But let's have a look. 16 center is... no way. 2,873 meters. I don't see that happening when we have a 3,600 meter runway available. So 16 left it will be. We'll request that from ATC. Seattle delivery, Qatari 28 Victor. A Qatari 28 Victor, request runway 16 left for our departure.
Qatari 28 Heavy, Seattle clearance, Seattle delivery, go ahead. Qatari 28 Heavy, runway 16 left, approved for departure.
16 left approved, thank you. Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. And we are changing ground point 7. Okay, lovely. So the clearance is accepted, then let's cancel that and close that page. Okay, so I think we're ready for the briefing, are we? Your turn. Okay, so we are going to fly to Doha today from Seattle. It's runway 16 left, which is what we've got in the box.
Push and start.
Push and start approved. United 26.
Seattle 9 departure, which is on the runway track, climbing 6,000, and the MSA in that sector isn't all that high. 5,000 keeps us safe. Extra fuel and time, we've got pretty much 0. Okay, thank you for this. So, no hotspots for our taxi routing. However, one constant hotspot in the States is the pushback. So, yeah, just gotta be careful. Everything up here is RAM control. Only everything from here is tower ground control. So anything down here, we'll just have to announce it on their respective frequencies, and
United
that's
610,
it.
taxi to runway 16 left via
No
Alpha
hotspots
Delta.
for our taxi routing, and the stop margin for today's takeoff will be very little, probably just a couple meters, even though the performance tool unfortunately doesn't tell us about it. If we need to make an immediate return, then Seattle is always available. We have a 3,600 meter runway over here, and if we're unhappy with anything for whatever reason and we still have warranty on the airplane, we can just put it down in Painfield and drive it right up to the factory so that they can fix it. However, I think the warranty has expired on this airplane, so that's probably not going to happen today. The engine outset, in case nothing abnormal happens, is actually a fairly easy one. It's straight at 25 miles, climbing to an altitude of 3,000 feet over here. That's going to keep us safe. Well, let's make it 4,000, then we can come back over those hills over here. So radar vectors to keep us to the west, and then we can come back. Weather is very good. If things are really, really urgent, then we can just do a visual traffic pattern, 1,500 feet left turns, and make an immediate re-landing. We are above the maximum landing weight, so we'll do the overweight landing checklist as applicable if we have time available. If no time available, that's not going to be a problem. The plane can stop on this runway. Okay, I've got nothing special or non-standard over here. Do you see any threats for today's departure? Me neither. Perfect. So cockpit pre-flight checklist, please. So oxygen, test at 100%. Flight instruments, heading 126, altimeter 3005, reading 320, set left, set right. Pre-flight checklist complete. Okay, so what's the boarding status? Completed. I like it. So, prepare for pushback and departure. Release ground power? No. Okay, start APU, please. Alright, so, since we should have... just importing that again because GSX loves to override the figures. So, 333, let's call it 900. Okay, so 0 fuel weight 216, well 217.
16 center, then cross runway 16 left, then Bravo.
So 217, and that's a gross weight of 350.9, which is just below the max takeoff weight. I love it. Okay, so get me that ATIS, please. Okay, performance. We are departing from Seattle, runway 16 left. The weight, let's calculate 351. Alright, CG is 26. And for our weather, we've got, well, let's say wind calm. Actually, this might be a little tailwind, huh? Let's call it 340 at 3 knots tailwind should be fine. Temperature is 26, you can see that on the ICAS. And the QNH 30.05. Right, calculate. And it tells me we can't depart by just a few kilos. Okay, so what happens if we do APU to PAX? Then it tells me the same, interesting. So it tells me we can't take off on this runway. And I don't believe that. Just for the sake of mathematics. Okay, now it's better, 350.8. So I tell you what we're gonna do. We gotta take the takeoff weight exactly here. So, 350.869. Well, I don't see that happening, to be honest. But I have a feeling that they disregard the taxi fuel in here. So we're at 350.9 at the moment, and the taxi fuel is 476. So basically subtract 400, then we're at 350.5. So 350, 500. Let's see if we can do with PAX Auto. Nope. Okay, so it'll be APU to PAX. Alright, here we go. So thrust limit is the full rating with the APU on. And then it's a flaps 15 takeoff. The CG on this one is 26. And the takeoff speeds 166, 177, 183. And that's looking good. Okay, 6 units trim, the rest is good. So I'm quite happy with this. Alright, lovely. So let's zoom all the way in to get our taxi chart. Here we are, lovely. Beautiful. Okay, so APU is running. Ground from flight deck. So you can remove all the ground equipment, please, and let us know when we are ready for pushback. Man, I haven't done this in a while in here. So, release air conditioning unit, and release ground power unit. And chocks remove. Okay, so, PAX coming on, fed by the APU. And that's everything we had to do down here. Lovely. Alright, let's say good evening to our passengers. Scheduled off block was a minute ago. And then we can go. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. From the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of Qatar Airways, welcome aboard our Boeing 777-300 ER on our flight 720 towards Doha. Today's flight time will be 14 hours and 15 minutes. We expect a smooth flight and an on-time arrival. For the time being, we are finishing up the last paperwork, closing the doors, and then we are going to start our engines in the next couple of minutes. For now, thank you very much for being on board today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. If there is anything we can do for you to make it more comfortable, please do not hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. The cabin crew will shortly perform the safety demonstration that is not just for their evening stretches, but actually for your own safety. So we do ask you to pay close attention, as it is for your own safety. Thank you very much, and we look forward to sharing this flight with you. Okay, so the door is closed. They're still working on the... Come on, don't interrupt pushback. I really don't know why GSX is doing it, but look at that. I've closed the doors, and for some reason GSX is just reopening them. Because, yeah, why wouldn't it, huh? So let's try that again. Close all. And this time it's hopefully gonna work. They haven't even connected the tuck yet. That's unbelievable. Okay. So. Ground flight deck. Please confirm. All doors and hatches are closed. All ground equipment is removed and the pin is installed. That's all confirmed, Captain. Thank you. Can we pressurize? Yes, you are clear to pressurize the hydraulics. Thank you. So, 183 on a VNAV, heading 165, altitude 6000. Let's go. Okay, 6 units trim, and the transponder is coming on. Okay, B4 start checklist down to beacon, please. So, flight deck door, closed and locked, MCP, V2 183, heading 165, altitude 6000. Takeoff speeds 168, 177, 183, CDU pre-flight completed, trim 6 units, 0 and 0, taxi and takeoff briefing completed, holding a beacon. Seattle ground, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, ready for pushback and startup. In the real world, you do this with ramp, so...
Qatari 28 Heavy, Seattle ground, pushback and startup approved, tail south.
Push and startup approved, tail to the south, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. Okay, before start checklist complete. Ground from flight deck. So we clear the push and start, tail south, and that means nose to the left, please. Where is it? Yeah, nose left. Okay, cool. Release park and brake. Brakes released. Off block at 15. And that's 5 minutes delay. Not sure what to put them on. You decide, as long as it's not the crew. Alright, and with that, we're on the way. Such a huge aircraft.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Qatar Airways Flight 720, flying from Seattle to Hamad International Airport. We invite you to take...
Okay, starting engines 2 and 1 in that sequence. Right engine start.
If you need any assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to a friendly. My name is Khadija, and on behalf of Qatar Airways, I would like to introduce our captain, Emmanuel, and our first officer, Sarah. Joining us in the cabin today are my fellow crew members, Aisha, Fatima, and Zayed. We're expecting a flight time of approximately 14 hours and 14 minutes. Now I would like to take a moment to go over some important safety information. First, please ensure your seatbelt is fastened low and tight.
Now you might be wondering why we're pushing with the tail to the south instead of the other way around. Funnily enough, this is actually the same that happened with the real aircraft. I was rather surprised when we actually got that from say intentions, but yeah, the real aircraft went all the way around as well. That's quite cool, isn't it? Okay, and we've got a good start on the right engine, starting the left engine.
Inflate the vest by pulling the red tabs or by blowing into the tube. In the event of an evacuation, please leave the luggage.
Now I start to have a feeling...
There are 8 emergency
Yeah, they're dropping us off over here at point 88, are they? Because otherwise our aircraft is going to phase into the ground control area, not just the ramp. Yeah, stopping here. Okay, that's fine.
journey with Qatar Airways. Captain, the cabin is ready for departure.
So, park and brake set. You're clear to lower the aircraft, remove all equipment, and advise when clear, please. Number 1 is lighting up. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And we have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin on the right hand side. Please have a wonderful day. Bye bye. Okay, AP remains on. ATIS auto, flaps 5. Recall is checked, nothing in there. And flight control check, please. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. So there's the tuck. There's the handling agent holding a pin in the hands. Rudder. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Okay, clear signal is received. B4 taxi checklist. Anti-ice. Auto. Recall. Checked. Flight controls. Checked. Ground equipment. Clear. B4 taxi
United
checklist
757
complete.
ready to taxi.
United 757, taxi to runway 16 center via Alpha Delta.
16 center via Alpha Delta United 757.
Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. Request taxi to runway 16 left. So let's see if they want us to make a turn straight out, which I don't think.
Qatari 28 Heavy, taxi to runway 16 left via Bravo Charlie.
Taxi 16 left via Bravo and Charlie, Qatari 28 Victor. Okay, so Bravo is over here. That means we are going to go the long way around, then via Bravo to Charlie, which is, I think, the full length. Okay. So, clear on the right side, clear on the left side. Very good point bringing up the before takeoff checklist. Look at that. I said flaps 15 out of a habit, flaps 5 out of habit, even though it's going to be 15 today. Alright, so with that error noticed, we can release those brakes.
Delta 2318 ready for pushback.
Let's go.
Delta 2318, pushback approved.
Pushback approved. Delta 2318.
So let's see how much thrust we need to get her moving. 28%. That's quite a lot for a 777. That's really quite a lot for a 777. So, where's that delta coming from? Turning into the gate, okay. I like that. Okay, everything's clear on the left. Man, MK Studios have once again done a phenomenal job with Seattle. It's almost a pity that we are just flying here so rarely. But who knows, today we're adding one more to the tick box. So, while we're taxiing, we've got to pay a little bit of attention to our taxi fuel. Where are you going with your 220? Stop there, please. Otherwise it's gonna get expensive. Okay, cabin ready. But let's just keep going here for a bit.
Delta 2318 ready to taxi.
Delta 2318, taxi to runway 16 center via Whiskey Bravo Delta.
So that's probably him.
16 center via Whiskey Bravo Delta Delta 2318.
Alright, so cabin ready signal is received. Weather over here, terrain over there. Yep, here he comes. Okay, so before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist complete. Come on, move your 220. Well guys, I have a feeling the taxi is going to take a little time,
Alaska
so we'll
524,
speed this up a little bit, and I see you all at the holding
Alaska
point.
524, pushback approved.
Pushback and start approved. Alaska 524.
Delta 673, give way to the company C series on your right.
We'll give way to the company C series Delta 673.
Alright, we are reaching the holding point with just 2 aircraft ahead of us and 10 minutes later. At least we no longer have to worry about our takeoff weight anymore, because we have already used up 700 kilos of fuel for our taxi, so we're literally just waiting for the 2 aircraft ahead of us to depart. But we can make some good use of that time as well, so let's do the takeoff review. It's going to be a left-sea takeoff of runway 16 left. Flaps 15. Got to be careful with the flap retraction here as well. We're right up there at the maximum takeoff weight. Our current gross weight, if we look at this, 350.4. At least that means we are legal for the takeoff, and we can use the full power nonetheless. So the APU is still on, and just to verify on the air page, right now it's the engines powering the bleed, so let's correct that. Now I could swear you should just have to leave everything on, and oh well, doesn't matter. Engine bleeds off, and now we know for sure that the APU is powering the packs. Okay, so with that out of the way, we've got flaps 15. Traffic is clear on the left side here. We're clear to Charlie, so that's the full length. Speed 687783, and the SID straight ahead. Contact departure when advised, and that'll be on 119.2, which is pre-selected, and engine out straight at
Alaska 524,
4,000, and that's it. Any questions?
Over to departure, Alaska 524.
No? Beautiful. Seattle Tower, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, ready for departure. So, there's one approaching
Qatari
aircraft over
28
there.
Heavy, Seattle Tower, runway 16 left, wind 030 at 8, RNAV Seattle, cleared for takeoff.
On off Seattle, runway 16 left, clear takeoff, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. Cabin crew, prepare for departure, please.
Approaching 16 left.
Okay, so the A220 has already taken off. We got the full length over here, and then we're ready to go. So since weather is not a factor, I'm gonna go into terrain on my side. Take off.
On runway 16 left.
Set takeoff thrust. Thrust set. Checked. Look at that EGT, 1000 degrees.
V1.
Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. $400. So, flaps 5.
Heavy contact departure.
Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, over to departure.
Alaska 335, contact ground.
Seattle departure, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, passing 1,900. Flaps 1.
Qatari 28 Heavy, Seattle departure, radar contact, climb and maintain flight level 290, clear direct Princeton.
I maintain level 290, direct to Princeton. Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. Okay, so speed 250. Autopilot on. And then we've got a direct to Princeton. That's going to be Yankee Delta Charlie, I assume. Okay, and execute. So we got to keep flaps 1 because of our 250 knots limitation. And then engine bleeds on, APU off. So look at that, not even 2,000 feet a minute. This is a heavy airplane. Okay, beautiful look outside. I'm just gaining a little bit of altitude here, and once we're high enough, I'll request high speed from ATC. Qatari 28 Victor, any speed restriction?
Qatari 28 Heavy, no speed restrictions.
No speed restrictions, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. Flaps up. Speed checked. Flaps up. Okay, flaps up, no lights. After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete. So let's make some good use of the time here. Just request the latest wind data again. And then we can make a better decision on the initial cruising altitude. 290 is filed, but who knows, maybe 27 or 31 is better. Let's find out. So the wind data is here, load. And execute. And the same of course for the forecast. What is it doing? Update the direct, please. Not gonna do any right-hand turns here. Recommended level 230. No, we're not gonna do that. We'll take 29. That's fine. And forecast uplink loads, thank you. Not that that would do any difference, but we'll take level 290. That's gonna be absolutely fine. Alright. So far, so good. Then, we're already approaching 10,000. Enjoying the last couple of views.
28 Heavy, contact Seattle approach on 125.6.
125.6, Qatari 28 Victor. Seattle approach, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, passing 10,000, climbing level 290.
Qatari 28 Heavy, Seattle departure, good afternoon, Auburn altimeter 30.09er.
3009 at Qatari 28 Victor. Okay, 3009 is cross-checked at 10,420 now. Then our pitch is below 7 and it will remain down there, so let's release our passengers. I'm going to keep the lights on until 18,000 due to possible VFR traffic. And with that, I think we've done the most important things. So, for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. And if anything relevant happens, then I will, of course, let you know. Qatari 28 Victor Heavy level correction, altitude 18,000. So my friends, that's Doha, that's the airport.
Qatari 28 Victor, Doha Center, identified. Marhaba.
Qatari 28 Victor, request further descent. Okay, CPDLC is terminated, good. And
Qatari
lock off.
28 Victor, descend altitude 17,000 feet.
Descend altitude 17,000 feet, Qatari 28 Victor. So you can see they're keeping us somewhat high over here. I'm not 100% sure what ATC's plan is. The star would have had a constraint at 11,000 over here.
Qatari 28 Victor, descend altitude 11,000, Normandy.
Descend altitude 11,000 feet, Qatari 28 Victor. Alright, so thrust levers idle. Speed brake out. Let's go down.
Qatari 28 Victor, roger, maintain 11,000 feet.
Okay, so we're set up for the ILS approach on runway 34 right. We're on the left-hand downwind here, following the star. And honestly, this puts us into an awesome position for viewing the city of Doha. Well, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? So this is with both Inibuild's Doha City and Doha Airport. Now let's go ahead and have a look at a couple of the basics of the approach that we are going to fly. So, ILS 34 right, minimum for a Cat Delta aircraft 239, go around straight at
Qatari 28 Victor,
and then a
contact
right
Doha,
turn.
approach on 119.725.
119.725 Qatari 28 Victor. Okay, and we have ATIS Yankee. Doha approach Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, passing 12,600, descending 11,000, information Yankee. $1,000 to go.
Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, Doha approach, identified. Good afternoon, Hamad QNH. 992 expect the ILS runway 34 right approach into Hamad.
QNH 992 expect ILS 34 right, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. Okay, so we can absolutely do this. So vertical speed, and I'm dialing the speed back towards 250 already. So just hoping we'll get further descent momentarily. In the meantime, nice views down here. But let's go ahead and go into the approach briefing. That may be the easier thing and the more sensible thing to do right now, after 13.5 hours of flight. So, it'll be an ILS approach, runway 34 right, radar vector, once we are done with the star. And the minimum is 239. Go around straight at right turn and climbing 3,000 at first, 4,000 later. Now, we've got no specials or non-standards and extra fuel. Let's see, we arrive with 16.8, so that gives us plenty of extra, to be honest. Alright, thanks for that. Now, the approach will be flight director guided using the flaps 30, auto brakes 3, maximum reverse. Vacate the runway to the left, and we do have plenty of stop margin. I've got nothing special or non-standard here, and no threats.
With Sky 703, assertion 3, contact Doha Center on 3,000.0 7.5.
I'm slowing the plane down a little bit already.
Switching to Doha Center on 132
fairly sure that we are
with
going
Sky
to get
7033.
final turn soon. Qatari 28 Victor, request radar vectors to final. Okay, new ATIS, 355 at 3, QNH 909 at 3 again.
Qatari 28 Victor,
Oh.
descent altitude 3500, turn right, heading 185 vectors for the ILS runway 34 right approach.
Descend 3,500 feet, turn right, heading 185, vectors ILS, 34 right, Qatari 28 Victor. Okay, that's looking better. Thrust, heading, select, level change. So the ATIS is checked, and we can put that away
Qatari
again.
28 Victor, turn right, heading 190 vectors for the ILS runway 34 right approach.
Turn right, heading 190, Qatari 28 Victor. Okay, let's help it a bit. So extend the center line, please, from Lagma. Copy, paste, and 336 is the final approach course. Execute.
Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, 8 miles from Lazzo. Turn left, heading 050, descent altitude 2500 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 34 right approach.
Turn left, heading 050, descend 2,500 feet, cleared ILS 34 right, Qatari 28 Victor. Okay. So, let's see. Off-path descent, display on. Yeah, it works. That's all we gotta know. Good. So, we are through 10,000, lights on, signs on, and apart from that, ILS is already received. Alpha Zulu Mike is the identifier, and that's
Qatari
checked.
1176, contact Bahrain
So that's
Central
looking
Low
very
Center
good.
on 122.3.
Okay, lovely.
Switching to Bahrain Central Low Center on 122.3, Qatari 1176.
So we're approaching the profile
Qatari
again.
1176, contact Bahrain Central Low Center on
18
122.3.
miles, that means 6,000 is the
Switching to
optimum, so
Bahrain
we're
Central Low
approaching the
Center on
profile rapidly.
122.3, Qatari 1176.
It's just lovely how strong the speed brake is on the 777. I mean, look at this. 2,500, close to 3,000 feet a minute. Okay. Approaching the glide slope, 18 miles, 6,000. Yep, that makes sense. So that is not a fake glide slope here. That's the real one. And there's our field. Easy going, isn't it? Oh, cabin ready. I like it. Approach checklist. Altimeters, QNH 90903. Approach checklist complete. Alright, awesome. And we're on the glide. Flaps 1. Speed checked. So now that we're on the glide, let's start to lose some speed. And we can stow the speed brake again. Respectively, we can arm it straight away because we'll need it in a few moments anyway. Alright, so let's turn left, 010, and the controller already said that we're cleared for the ILS anyway. Localizer, flaps 5. Speed checked, flaps 5. Vertical speed. Man, this is looking quite good. This is really looking quite good. So, flaps 30, 144, that's still correct. And here we go, established. $13 miles out.
Qatari 28 Victor, contact Hamad Tower on 11. EC50 118, decimal 025.
118025, Qatari 48 Victor, bye bye. Hamad Tower, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy, ILS 34 right. Last stop capture.
Qatari 28, Victor Heavy, Hamad Tower, wind 355 at 3, runway 34 right, cleared to land.
Runway 34 right, clear to land, Qatari 28 Victor Heavy. Okay, go around altitude 3000 set and we are clear to land. So, this is going really well.
Victor Heavy, runway 34 right, cleared to land, wind 355 at 3.
Cleared right, cleared land. Correction, 34 right, cleared land, Qatari 28 Victor. You said that already, my friend. Okay, it doesn't matter. Real question is, what is that guy doing? There he is, okay. Going onto the left runway. That's fine. Okay, gear down, flaps 20.
2500.
Flaps 30. Speed checked. Flaps 30. Landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. Checklist complete. Alright, wonderful. And we're back on the glide. Looks good. Alright then. Fairly sure Qatar is not allowed to fly with manual thrust, so we're going to keep auto thrust engaged. The field is inside at the 12 o'clock. But let's quickly turn those off-path descent rings off. This is better.
1000.
Much better. And that's checked. Okay, so look at that. The glide slope and the puppies do actually agree. Doesn't happen too often, does it?
Approaching 3-4 right.
Checked. So let's focus on not messing up the landing now. The traffic at the holding point is waiting. Good. Minimum, continue. Okay, spoilers, reverse green. Auto brakes. $80 knots. We'll take the next exit, not this one. And manual brakes.
Qatari 28 Victor, welcome to Hamad. Contact ground on 120.225.
120.225, Qatari 48 Victor.
Kindly ask you to remain seated with your seat belts fastened until we have reached our final parking position. We hope you enjoyed your flight with us today.
Hamad Ground Qatari 28 Victor, runway vacated. Request taxi to gate 217.
Make artifacts. In the name of Captain Emmanuel, First Officer Stephanie, and the entire crew, we thank you for flying with Qatar Airways. The local time is 4:18 p.m.
Qatari 28 Victor.
Wish you a wonderful
Taxi
stay.
to H1R via Alpha 6. Romeo Juliet, Whiskey 2. Good day.
Taxi 217 via Romeo and Juliet, Qatari 28 Victor. Okay. So, straight ahead via Romeo, then a left turn onto Juliet to gate 217. So, Romeo, Juliet, and 217 is down here. So, we have a little bit of taxi ahead of us. Okay, after landing items, please. So, small word on our arrival and landing. You might have noticed that we didn't get a minimum call and we didn't get any radio altimeter call. Yep, that is completely true. Now you may be wondering, how did I fix this? Well, I fixed it through the same way that caused me to keep the reversers deployed for a little bit too long. I went into sane tensions and turned off the AI traffic. Looks like, and this is a tip from one of my viewers, so thank you very, very much for that. It looks like when there is too much AI traffic in the simulator, then the custom sounds of add-on aircraft can actually disappear. And since sane tensions doesn't just give you some AI traffic, but at airports like this one they give you huge amounts of traffic and parked aircraft, I guess I probably exceeded that limit. Now if you're wondering what the limit is, it's according to the post on my previous video, it is 80 aircraft, but I haven't actually cross-checked that number, so that 80 may or may not be true. In any case, I found that a very interesting discovery, so let's just go ahead and turn a couple of aircraft back on again. So I had it at 11 previously, let's turn it to 8 now and see what we're going to get. If that's going to be sufficient to kill our sounds. So in the meantime, GSX. So we're looking for gate 217. Up here, heavy, no follow me needed. So let's give it a moment to spawn some of those AIs again, and let's see if we can recreate the sound issue or not. Alright, APU is running, shut down right engine. Engine shut down right, clear. Okay, so over there we're gonna turn left on a Whiskey 3. Then our parking will be somewhere over there. Okay, so next left, and that's Whiskey 4 actually, not Whiskey 3, but that's fine with me. Alright, and here's our statics. Let's see if we still have custom sounds. No, we don't. Well, occasionally. Listen to this. Okay, so it is indeed the static aircraft that's causing this. Or the AI aircraft. Well, let's go ahead and reduce the density a little bit. See if we can nail it down. In the meantime, GSX... Okay, now the parking is free from AI. So here's some more AI aircraft. Let's try that again. So look at that, it works only occasionally. Okay, tell you what, let's turn the aircraft off for the time being, because I'd rather have my sounds than some nice aircraft while parking. It has to do, or it must have to do with the number of aircraft that's actually shown in your sim, because we didn't have it in Seattle. However, if you remember, Seattle was rather empty. Okay, and here's gate 217. Alright, the guidance system is on and it reads 77 whiskey over there. And just to confirm, now that I turned the aircraft off again, the switch sounds work again. It's interesting. That's definitely something we'll have to dig into and find out what that's about. Okay, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay, good. So APU running is confirmed. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Okay, shutdown checklist, park and brake, set, shutdown checklist complete. So, GSX, request deboarding please, and then we can go down here into the EFB, ground ops. So, disarm all slides, ground connections, set shocks, ground power request. And shutting down the APU. Packs going off because they are definitely going to connect the air conditioning unit. And here it comes. So, 37 degrees. Yep, most definitely going to connect the air conditioning unit. So, and with the chocks in, the brakes are released. Good. So, you're going to get the doors. I will take the status display. Recall, everything checked. Then we can clear those messages. Okay, so hydraulics are still looking good. Engine, oil quantity is actually looking good for 13 hours 43 flight time. Okay, lovely. So, ADR off, emergency exit lights off, packs off, secure checklist please. And that's the packs off, secure checklist complete. Well, my friends, and that's all I can offer you for today. I do hope you all enjoyed this. I most certainly did, even without a radio altimeter on landing. At least we now know what's causing this, and that means we can start to search for solutions. Well, this was our approach to Doha during daylight. Now, if you're wondering why I said that it looks better at night, that's because of the windows. In my opinion, yes, they are very reflective windows in the real airport as well, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit too reflective in here. That's just my feeling though. I've never actually been at the real airport. I'd just seen pictures of it and that kind of stuff. But in any case, perhaps someone of you is more familiar with the real airport and therefore able to make some statements over here. I do hope you all enjoyed this flight. Let me know your feedback in the comments underneath the video. And with all of that out of the way, thank you very much for watching. As always, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you liked today's ATC, check out Say Intentions AI using the link in the video description or the pinned comment below. And if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.